17 minutes ago, Lori has entered the courtroom. Her face is red and she appears to have been crying. The deputy is locking her leg shackles into the ground and she sits down and is looking down. Lori's mood is visibly different. This morning she was chatting with her attorneys, smiling, laughing. This afternoon she is silent and appears upset. Boyce is on the bench and says a legal issue has arisen that needs to be taken up outside of the presence of the jury. Archibald will now argue that issue. Archibald says Lori wishes to waive her right to not be present for the remainder of the afternoon. He says it was emotional this morning and Lori has fragile mental health. Lindsay Blake argues it is important to have the defendant present and the state of Idaho deserves to have her here. This isn't the first time the defendant has been uncooperative with this court. 11 minutes ago, Blake says if Lori is allowed to leave, the state would be allowed to comment to the jury during closing arguments that she was not present during this portion of the trial. Boyce cites Idaho Criminal Rule 43 and says presence is required at a defendant's trial in every stage of the trial, but part of the law says a defendant can waive their right to be present under certain circumstances. Boyce says Idaho law allows some defendants to waive their right to be present during a part of their trial, but there is a process if someone wants to be voluntarily absent. Boyce discussing what authority the court has to allow someone to miss part of the trial. Boyce says the court has authority to override the request of defendant to voluntarily excuse herself from certain portions of the trial, where she has been for the first day and a half of the trial. Boyce says her presence can and should be required, so the judge denies the request and orders that Lori cannot leave. 5 minutes ago, Lori has no reaction to the judge's decision. The jury is brought in and everyone is asked to stand. Lori stands and John Thomas holds onto her arm. And Detective Hiramoso is back on the stand.